What's up, guys? It is day 11 of my vlog, and we're starting to get somewhere now. It's another rainy day outside. Take a look. So I wanted to talk about something today, guys. You may or may not know this about me if you know me in real life. I don't exactly tell everyone, but I've decided to talk about it today because I think talking about it can help more people than it will hurt. I don't think anyone who knows me now is gonna judge me wrongly based on my past, but it could be wrong. So here goes. If you didn't already know, I have battled addiction my entire life. For 10 years I was addicted to opiates. That started with doctors trying to help me with my pain, and it ended with me, robbing people, even my own mother at one point, to get high. I own that now. And I have since repaired a lot of the damage that I caused. There was also a 10-year period where I numbed myself with alcohol. What doctors call this is self-medication. All these things that we just take too much of to numb our pain, those are literally just masks we wear. Those are just things we use to hide from the reality of what our body is going through, what our mind is going through. And it can be anything that causes you pain that you try to hide from. It can be mental anguish, it can be hurtful memories, it can be an abusive spouse, anything. So, a lot of what makes the problem worse is the way our society deals with these addicts, these drug addicts, these alcoholics, and they basically they isolate them in one or more ways by making what they're doing illegal and putting them in jail to suffer rehabilitation. And they're also ostracized by society. Their history, even if they ever grow past their addiction, is going to follow them for the rest of their lives. Their criminal record, bad references from jobs that they may have gotten high on, And I understand there's got to be consequences for actions that we take that hurt others, but at the same time, we're limiting these people's ability to be rehabilitated. Look at someone like me. I was 15 years old when I broke my neck, and from that day on, I was on opiates for pain, for chronic pain that I suffered because of the damage that happened when that happened. It started out with doctors prescribing it, and then when that stopped happening, I started going to the streets to find it myself because, my job was physical. I had to talk to people all day. And when you're in any kind of chronic pain, those things are a million times more difficult. And I was eventually arrested. I lost my home. I lost my fiance, my child, all of those things. It took me years to recover, and when I went into recovery, I couldn't find a job. No one would rent a house to me because I had bad history with it, with an eviction, and just so many things stood in the way of becoming a good person. And I'm not saying there shouldn't be consequences for our actions, but I am saying everybody deserves a second chance, because you never know who that person might become. Who'd have thought 15 years ago that I'd be talking to you right now. And that you'd actually be listening. You know, that's mind-blowing. Or, you know, here's a good demonstration of that. You never know who it's going to be. Einstein, one of the most brilliant minds who ever lived, was an amateur physicist. And he solved one of the biggest physics questions that existed of his time. So, these people that we're ostracizing from our society, they need to solve their problem. They need to seek recovery, and they're not going to do that till they're ready. So by not making it easier for these people to regain society's trust, we are, yes, protecting ourselves as a society, but we are also prohibiting them from achieving a normal life, which causes a lot of them to go right back into a relapse. You know, they say, oh, I'm gonna quit. They quit, they get themselves cleaned up, they go look for a job, try to find an apartment, they get turned down for 30 apartments because they have bad history. You know, they can't get a job because maybe they have a felony for possession or something like that. And then these people just fall back into that downward spiral because their life is so inhospitable and society is so unforgiving of their past that they figure, well, if I'm gonna have to be treated like an addict all the time, I might as well at least be an addict again. And they take another pill, or shoot up, or smoke another pipe. So we're not solving the problem is what I'm getting at. I don't think we're gonna solve the problem in our lifetime. Everyone has different things that work for them, you know. For me, honestly, when I quit opiates, I just went cold turkey. Took a one-way plane ticket to Pennsylvania, crashed with my dad for a few months. That was like the first time I had seen him in probably a couple decades. I hadn't seen him since I was like a 10-year-old or 11-year-old, I can't remember honestly. And he helped me get clean from that, but I dove right into alcoholism. I didn't realize it at the time, but you know, I just started drinking every day, more and more and more to get drunk, and it just escalated from there. I was probably one of the most functional alcoholics that ever lived, though. No one really knew that that's how my life was because, you know, I'd go to work, I was always on time, I was always polite most of the time. Anyways, I digress. So, I was lucky in that I was given a sanctuary, a safe space to regain control of my life. Whereas most people by that point in their addiction have alienated themselves from everyone that loves them by one reason or another, by stealing from them or lying to them or constantly putting themselves and their lives in jeopardy. Those people become alienated. And once that happens, it is incredibly difficult for them to get back into society, to regain a normal life, even after they've decided that they no longer want to be an addict and they are done. What makes the problem worse is how we treat them. Even just on an individual level, not even just society as a whole. How do you treat someone who you know has a history of addiction? You treat them differently than you would treat a person who, you know, has it all together and stuff? Of course you do. That's just the way we're brought up in society, is to, you know, treat addicts like they're aliens. I mean, it's similar, right? So, I'm gonna end with, this is just my opinion. It's a very controversial subject, but it is a subject that affects us all every day. Maybe not directly yourself, but it affects you through people you know. If I had a penny for every time I got a phone call or a text message saying that I had lost someone dear to me because of addiction, I'd probably have like $200. That's a lot of pennies.